Good evening, everyone. My name is Yvette. My maiden name is actually Weezar. So I am currently 44 years old. I was born of the year that Star Wars was created, 1977. I was born that October. I was actually supposed to be born on October 31st, but I was born a little bit earlier than that, which makes this my favorite holiday of all. I love Halloween. I love everything about Halloween. I love dressing up. I love to still go trick-or-treating. If I could take some kids to go trick-or-treating with me, it is set. That is my favorite time of the year. It's not so much of anything that's scary. Well, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of like doing the whole scary thing. But I cannot stand scary movies. I will not watch a scary movie. I don't like the suspense feeling. So, which is the complete opposite of liking Halloween. Now, since I was born in 1977, which made me an 80s kid, growing up in the 80s was a lot different. We got to experience the Atari, which was one of the first video game systems that was ever created. My first video game that I played was Centipede, Pac-Man, and Q*bert. I was a pro at Q*bert. Was secondary to Centipede. So being a person who grew up in the 80s and going to an arcade and seeing those games out in the arcade, I love it. It's like reliving my childhood all over again. I am the second youngest of all the grandchildren. There was 9 of us. So being the youngest, actually being the one that was a little bit more of the problem child. Back then it was called problem child. This generation it called ADHD. It was very challenging growing up. I got into everything. Everything my hands got into. I either touched things, went through cabinets, whatever you could think of. If I was longer than 20 minutes in the bathroom, I was definitely going through your stuff. But one thing I can say about having really cool cousins growing up is the music. Yes, I love Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, The Doors, The Who, The Bangles, you name it. The 80s was the thing for me growing up. And that's kind of the lifestyle that persuaded me to go into music. I enjoy singing. I enjoy listening to music. I love all kinds of music. Down from classical, down to meditation, down to country, down to Spanish. Anything that has a good beat, I will listen to it. But my favorite to go to just kind of chill and relax is Pink Floyd. Another cool thing about growing up in the 80s was all the different stuff that was able to be introduced to. I lived in the era of Rainbow Bright, and Barbie dolls were really popular. However, I was your typical tomboy, and I really didn't like Barbie dolls. If anything, I used to actually like to make them look weird. So, my favorite dolls at that time was Cabbage Patch Kids, Rainbow Bright, Hot Wheels, G.I. Joes. Being one of the youngest, my older cousin, who was a few years older than me, was a boy. So every toy he had, all the fun things he had, was transferred on over to me. So in the 90s, I actually was able to get into a lot of different stuff. Was a lot of troublemaking back then. I was surrounded by a very ugly environment whenever I was with my mother at the time, which, by the way, me and my mom were pretty cool now. But back then, I wasn't very good with her. So growing up during those times in the 90s, I spent a lot of times with my friends in the streets. And one of the things that was my scapegoat was comics. I used to collect comics. It was either X-Men, Marvel comic, anything that had to do with Wonder Woman, anything that had to do with Wolverine. I loved it. Which brings me to this. I was a comic freak. Kind of stuck with me as an adult. Took me all the way to Star Wars. But I actually really love Star Wars though. But I love this too. I grew up in Los Angeles. Los Angeles was a very complicated city It was a place to get lost and a place to escape, which was easy for you to get on the bus from one part of the valley to Santa Monica and just hang out there at the pier. Really didn't even have a lot of people around. Bus fare was $1.75 and you could get a transfer. You just hopped on the bus from Almani, go down to Los Angeles, and from Los Angeles take the Santa Monica bus. But it was every now and then. Going through the placita was the thing. Especially when this team won the championship. I was in that parade, and being a part of that parade as a young adult was really fun. My family grew up loving baseball. We weren't really into football. I mean, we had family members that had their favorite teams, but as the all-to-go sport for the whole entire family was baseball, and our team was represented as the Dodgers, Los Angeles Dodgers. I was actually in a little league program for them when I was 8 all the way to 12 that they sponsored the program. As an adult, my children was able to attend one of their sponsored programs, and the tradition was able to be transferred on to them, and the Dodgers were contributing to a lot of fundings for low income project family members, and we were able to play baseball. One of the things that I did encounter growing up in Los Angeles was the Rodney King riots, the controversy of walking out, doing a lot of marches. My first gay pride was in 1992 when I was 14 years old, and I actually did a parade for Santa Monica Boulevard during one of the gay pride parades. I had a lot of friends that were really involved in drag queen and very involved into that kind of era club scene. Being a high school kid, was into party crews, did the undergrounds, did the raves. Just there were so many different identities of myself in high school. Whenever I would surround myself with different people, I had a different way of thinking. However, my mentality was still a little bit streetwise. That's where I went to. I ended up going to the streets. My street surviving skills was how to hustle, how to fight, how to deal, how to make a profit. That was my young adult, my late teen years of getting myself into a lot of situations. And my mindset was I would never get caught. Unfortunately, I didn't. Thank God I didn't get caught legally. It was a lot worse, and it took a lot of time to recover back. So now I'm currently a case manager at one of our shelters, and everything that was done to me growing up, everything that was done to me as a teenager, everything that I put myself into, I'm able to use as a tool to reach out other people. So that's just me in a nutshell. Our next speech will definitely be in a better area. I'm in the process of relocating, so don't mind all the other noises and the distractions, but I hope you liked it. I really don't know much else to say, except for my schedule is pretty busy. My life is pretty busy. Oh, I almost forgot one thing. I love ministry. I am a part of Victory Outreach, Southwest Bakersfield. I do worship with them. I am involved in a couple of women ministries, but my number one passion is being able to talk to the women that work in the streets and being able to give them resources to get out of the streets, which leads me to the shelter. I work alongside with the calibration of Kern County human trafficking, sexual assault victims, domestic violence as well. And I'm part of that alliance. And everything that was meant to destroy me, God turned it around. And I'm very grateful for that. Got to give him honor and glory. So I look forward to doing a little bit more of myself in a better situation, a lot quieter, because I got the dude and the kid and a little noisy. But hope you like it. Be blessed, everyone. Hope to get to know all of you guys. Oh man, how do you stop this thing?